Hello, hello. Hey, penguin. Do. Okay, stream is getting started. I need to reply to one or two messages, and then we can get to the work. Okay. You do a good job of your fonts are always too small to follow. Increase your font so people can follow up. Um, man, these fonts are already pretty big. I sometimes I do keep them bigger. Like sometimes I even do like this. But dude, this is insanely big. Like if I were to program at a size that is comfortable for me, this would be it. So just so that we are clear, you're already getting uh, a lot. You're already getting a lot. My recommendation is full screen the video. Okay. So, what are we doing? Do. Okay, hello everybody. We are continuing from where we left off the last time. So we were in the process of reviving Ziggy Check, but hey Patty, thank you. Thank you. So we were in the process of reviving Ziggy Check. What is Ziggy Check? Ziggy Check is the subcommand of the Ziggy CLI tool. So Ziggy is a JSON replacement language. So it's like JSON, so data serialization, except it's meant to be better than JSON in a few key ways. One of those is that the JSON language, Ziggy, my JSON replacement language, also has a schema language. JSON has that too. It's called JSON schema, except it's not exactly a language. It's a mess. That's what it is. In our case, it's a language. So we have Ziggy schema files. And the Ziggy check command basically needs to take a bunch of documents and validate them against the schema. But we want it to be fancy. So you can specify a schema that you want to apply to a series of documents. Or you don't specify this, and you assume that every document will either have a Ziggy schema file with the same name as the document, or a .ziggy schema file in the same directory, or any directory above. So this is what we need to implement. So let's take a look. Let's start from the top. Let's see what we had the last time. So we start, we get into the subcommand main function. We parse the CLI arguments. Schema strategy can either be the schema path is provided on the CLI, or we will need to search those things on our own. So if it's provided, then we take that path and we read that file. This is going to be this IO dir CWD. This is going to be IO. There we go. So we know that this will have to be different. Then we parse the AST. This can only fail with an if there are any parsing errors, we complain. We should print them though. So we should do this. std debug.print. Fatal. Aborting. I think that what we can do above is this, just simply straight up this. We don't even need to lock anything. You just do this. This is gonna print the errors. We print the errors one after the other. Then we say fatal. Provided schema file contains parsing errors, aborting. And this is gonna be fatal error, colon. Actually, the aborting is redundant. Fatal error is already meant to mean that. Okay, so if this goes well, we set AST and source inside this, which means that this needs to be var. This cannot be const because we need to be able to write in it. Okay, well, write to it. So awesome. This is truly awesome. Next, any error. Right, this tells us if there was any error at any point. Try to open a path as a directory. If it fails, not a directory, blah, blah, blah. We do a check file. You know what? I'm going to open this. This will add one layer of indentation. But I think it's better. Yeah, this is more legible in my opinion. So we catch the error. If it's not error access denied, we do a check file. Otherwise, we complain. So we say, we need to use fatal. Else fatal. Unable to access. Able to access this thing. Path. Error. This can go away. Oh man, look at how much nicer it is. fatal. And let's call this dir. Actually, we don't know yet if this is really a dir or not. So, but here we know that it is not a dir. So I'm gonna say file s colon t path. Oh, I typed it here. Path error. Oh, in this case, it's a semicolon. Okay. Yeah. Okay, this is nice. This is nice. So we get into check there, make a group, try to detect. We look at the file extension, so we do path detection. Is the thing is not a Ziggy file, we just skip it. Then yeah, we do async. One thing that we could do, which is smart, is we could try to write down information about .ziggy files. Like if the full Ziggy schema file, sorry, if the full name is .ziggy schema. We should try to do that. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Okay, here we have Narina. Here we call check file fallible. We one out of memory. Invalid tells us that the... Let's call this invalid document. Or just invalid. Ziggy invalid. Let's call it Ziggy invalid. Like, let's make it clear that it's our error. Okay. Okay, so Zig invalid otherwise becomes fatal, unable to access, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this is all well and good. We are missing a free, which must happen here. Defer path.the_init. And we need a GPA for that. So we need to ask a GPA for GPA. Okay. Which we'll need to pass down here as well, don't want we? Because we need to call validate. Oh, but we do that in the arena. Yeah, that is fine. Check file does need a GPA though. So let's go to the top and do it and make this happen. Check there has a GPA. Check file now gets a GPA. And we pass it down here. Okay. We're not doing bad, honestly. Okay, we're missing the search case. So you know what? Let's leave that as a panic to do for now. Okay, let's see how we're doing with like the main flow. What is the syntax error? Path does not exist. What did I do here? What is path in here? It's p.path. Okay. Zigbee watch. Let's fix all the errors. Expected two arguments found one, right? Forgot a bunch of empty tuples. No field or member function named read file alloc options in CWD. Oh no, in there. I mean, read file. Wait, wait, no. Is this function gone? No, I don't believe you. Open there. Open file, create file, write file, update file, read file. No. No. Where did that function go, man? No, I don't believe this. Oh, but that's this. So this does still exist. Okay. No, it just hasn't been updated. Okay. This function just has not been moved. That's good. That's fine, I guess. So, okay. So we stick to fscwd, no IO parameter. So that works. No field name schema path in check 22. Yeah, this is pilot path. Expect optional type found constitute. Ah, you're right. In this case, it's guaranteed to not be SDN. Actually, the same is true also downstairs. Not optional. Same here. What's the next problem? What is the next problem? Expected type atomic value bool found a strategy in check there. GPA any error. Okay. GPA any error. That goes here. Okay. Expected type CLI command strategy found const CLI check command strategy. Yeah. You know what? Let's take out also the const because we're gonna need to mutate this bad boy eventually. So might as well. Expected constituent found a heap string in a call to check file fallible. Bytes. Arguments not 6. Right. IO is not passed. Oh, IO is superfluous in here. Yeah, you know what? For now. Okay. We'll add it later. Beep, 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 beep. I'll hear you out, Diablo. What's your plan? Else program required when switching on a pointer on 159. An async IO library of some sort. IO. AO. Hello, fragile human being. Hello, Tsatsiki. Error type, yeah. Okay, next problem. Expected type atomic value of bool found. Oh, this is another problem of argument order, line 47. Wait a second. It's just so slightly too much. Just call it schema, I guess, or strategy. So if we do this, then we can do this. Okay, what's the problem now? Expected error union type found void. Oh, even better. Oh, did we succeed building? We did. Okay, so we successfully build now, which means that we can try this. We have the benchmark directory, which does not contain any schema file whatsoever, but it's fine. So if I do Ziggy check on here now, this should, okay, if I run it like this, let me think. This should hit a panic because we have not implemented the search strategy. Yeah, and then we indeed hit a bunch of panics. One per thread. Okay, that sounds good. Awesome. We can try to pass it a schema. So we can do hx I don't know, schema $sign equals any. Ziggy check schema equals schema Ziggy schema, and then not. I mean, yeah. That's exactly how it is. Those documents do contain a bajillion duplicate fields. Well, what can I say? Success. So it seems that we did everything right. All that we have implemented. Oh, okay. I didn't test this super thoroughly, but first pass, everything seems fine. I need to double check that we are setting any error correctly, but I think so. Like file access errors are fatals. Is any other error makes us flip that thing. Then we wait. And then we consult it at the end to do a clean exit. Any error gets printed to standard error. That is correct. Maybe there should be another flag like names only. And maybe we could say that flags should go before paths. And then we can have more than just those. So what we are missing is yeah, we're missing just one tiny little piece of functionality, which is the search for schema files based on naming conventions. That's gonna be intense. That is definitely gonna be intense. So also, I think that the way it should work is this, right? Whether it is provided or it is search, either way, this should result into something like this: const source, comma, well, schema source, comma, const schema ast. And it should be the result of doing this thing, which will find one or the other one way or another. And then we do this based on like this schema ast, which takes schema. Now this is, yeah, schema ast, which takes normally ast, normal source, schema source, passing schema source. Actually, do we pass the schema source in here? No, we don't. We pass normal source. Okay. Yeah, so this is how it should be. And so in the case of P, this is literally break. Well, not even break. This is literally a struct that contains p.source, p.ast. There you go. And we just unpack this here. Then yeah, now we need to implement search. Search, I suspect, will be a little bit more involved than this other case. So we need to search. There are two ways. So this is like same name. So the same name strat is trying to open a file with the same name. I think this should work like this. Also, you know what? Guess what? We do actually need GPA after all. We do need GPA after all. KX2. Okay, so how does this work? First, we search for the same name. And if that fails, we need to search for the dot files. So searching for the same name literally means trying to read a file, basically. So we try to do this. We read this, but the path has to be different. So path, we need to make const actually we can even put a try in there directly. Can we? No, we can't, because we might need to print error. So schema path is going to be std fnt alf print arena name dash schema. And the name is path. And we try this. So we use the schema path. We read it into the arena. but this can fail. So we can't try, we need to catch. Catch error.file, error.not found. I don't remember what the error, if the error is file not found or just not found. Also switch. So if the error is not found, then I don't know, we do something. Continue to. Oh, no, actually, not even continue. If it's not found, then we break VLK with. We do that with. Let me think. Find search dot schema path, or probably also GPA. And basically that's what we break with. Yeah, so we need to implement this. Any other error is a fatal error. Schema path. Error. There we go. Oh, this is delightful. So far, this is turning delightful. Like any weird access error is a fatal error. If it's not found, then we try to search for it, and that's what we return. So search.schema will have its own logic. It's also going to need strategy. So GPA strategy. GPA strategy path. And then in here we say, well, okay, let's say that we did get the schema, so it does exist. Awesome. We need to parse it as an AST, which is what we were doing up here. So we can literally copy this code here. So we say schema AST is going to be a Ziggy schema AST init, not on GPA, but on Arena. Source is going to be schema source. But if this fails, then we print these errors. So schema file. Well, actually, should this be a fatal error? This is an interesting question. Should this be a schema error? Should this be a fatal error? Maybe it shouldn't. I don't know. Like finding errors in schemas. This is a one-off schema for a one-off document. Honestly, I'm thinking we should not make this a schema a fatal error. We should just return that this failed. Yeah, let's do it this way. So if this happens, we do print those errors. I think we should print a warning that the errors were found in a schema. But I mean, the file path already says that. So you found snow X2? Oh my god. It's coming, huh? The cold is coming. Winter is coming. So let's just return that stuff went wrong. So return error.ziggy invalid. Yeah. So with this, we short circuit like this. Do we leak any resource if we do that? We don't, because everything goes in the arena. So, okay, so this is delightful. Let's say that everything went well. There are no schema errors. So we break BLK with, what is it? Source and then AST, right? So schema source and then schema AST. There you go. Break with these two values. They go here. This is beautiful. This is truly beautiful. So with this, we have succeeded. The only thing that we're missing is searching for a dot schema. That's the only thing that's missing. And this is going to be a little bit involved because search.schema needs to do a recursive search upwards for a dot schema. And also, what does BLK stand for? Block. It's just a way of driving that basically the result of calling this function should be the result of evaluating this block and should basically the result should flow into here. This is a switch statement, has two branches. The first branch is simpler. It doesn't have a block. You see the curlies, but this is a struct literal. This is not a block. So since this branch doesn't have a block, it's just a naked expression. It evaluates to that expression. But since this guy here is more complicated and has a block, to make the block evaluate to something, you need to break from it with the value that you want the block to evaluate to. Other languages will have the thing where the last statement, if it doesn't have a semicolon at the end, becomes the thing that the block evaluates to. For example, Rust does it. A bunch of other languages do it. But Zig has explicit syntax for it. Well, I guess more explicit syntax than just omitting a semicolon. So, what was he saying? So we need to do, a upward search in this case. Yeah, we need to do a upward search. So that's the last thing that we need to implement. And once we implement this, this subcommand will be complete. And ironically, it will be more complete than the language server, because the language server right now doesn't know how to do this. Actually, maybe it knows how to do this, but it definitely does not know how to do this. So I think that some of the logic that I will implement here for the upward search might even be something that we want to abstract. I don't know, we'll see. I really think it's file not found. Well, Zig will tell me if the error exists in this error set or not. Or I guess I could also go to definition and look at the errors that it has. File open error. What do we have in here? Yeah, file not found. There we go. Okay. So what do we want to do next? Yeah, well, we need to implement this, that's for sure. Yeah, it is actually pretty good. So we implement this. At that point, we will be done with this subcommand. So fmt will be working, schema checking will be working. I think at that point we'll want to switch back to the LSP. Actually, we need to fix that, I don't know, weird parsing regression situation that we have going on that I don't understand with the schema stuff. And I wonder what the fuck ended up happening with. I feel like it's Git that borked something. And after we fix that, we need to look at the LSP. And the LSP is going to be kind of a bloodbath, because the idea is that we would basically the language server, as long as the language server only observes documents opened in the editor, everything is delightful. The moment you try to open files yourself, then it becomes kind of a nightmare. Yeah. And also, there's a new version of LSP that has a feature that might help us, but it's a new version of the language server protocol, which has not been probably implemented a ton. Yeah, well, we need to understand what's up with that. Also, yet another thing, we kind of want to play into the LSP protocol, because if we don't, then we cannot make a WebAssembly build of our language server. And that does kind of suck. That would definitely suck indeed. Although we could make it a... what feature is that? This. So if you look at LSP version 318, reject, 318, which is upcoming, and you look at, I think it's workspace features, they have text document content. And okay, look at this one. Okay, text document content. Then if we look at the current 317, it's not there. It's a new one. They added it in 018. So in 018, there's text document content. So the text document content request is sent from the client to the server to dynamically fetch the content of a text document. Oh, wait, maybe I misunderstood this. Wait, what the fuck? This is backwards. From the client to the server. I thought this was from the server to the client. Oh no, never mind. There's nothing that can help us. Clients should treat the content returned from the request as... Oh no. So this is more like... What the fuck is this for? What is this for? Oh my fucking god, Microsoft. Always everything ass backwards. Okay, maybe somebody knows what this is for. I'll take a quick break, refill my cup, and be back in, I don't know, like a minute. Synthetic status buffers or synthetic analysis output. Oh. Oh. Or LSP running remotely and you ask things from its perspective. I mean, yeah, but it's also like turbo slow to ask the thing for its updates. But I guess. Well, never fucking mind then. Then here's the question. Then the question is, how can I, as a language server, tell the freaking editor that I care about special documents in the workspace for some vague definition of workspace that might not have been opened directly in the editor, but that I do care about their contents? Because they're special files, which is not a thing that I came up, right? This thing has existed for a while. So where's the LSP feature for that? And the reason why this is useful is because, well, okay, the LSP could be running on a different machine, or it could be in a fucking WebAssembly blob. You know what? The WebAssembly blob, nobody cares about the use case. Oh my god. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay. Let's see. With regards to text document content, imagine if I ask langd this file but expand all the C processor macros. I see. It just surprises me. But this could very well be just a normal command, right? There's already the concept of workspace commands or something like that. So, my God, freaking LSP. What would you change about LSP to better suit Zig's needs? For Zig specifically, I'm not sure. For my stuff, well, from the perspective of just somebody who has made a couple language servers, there is basically there's this idea that the client opens files for me in a sense, and I can also obviously open files myself directly as the language server if I'm running on the same machine. If I'm not, I'm fucked. I can't. And if I'm a WebAssembly blob, then I guess I kind of can, but also it's complicated. I guess the solution would be to make a language server that requires. Can you do WASI plus requiring a couple of imports? I guess you can, right? Although, wait a second. Is WASI allowed to access the file system? Can I just open files from WebAssembly? I guess that's I think there's some kind of security around this. I think you can only access directories that were opened for me. And LSP cannot generate a new file and hand it to the client. Okay, man. One problem at a time, I guess. Let's finish implementing this. Let's just finish implementing this first. So search.schema strategy. So what I'm thinking is almost to add this as a method of strategy, or even worse, of search strategy. So right now, search strategy doesn't have any state, but we obviously need to give it state. So make that happen. So what's the state that search should hold? And maybe it's not even that much. Maybe it's just a hash map directly. Something like std string hash map of struct that contains source and AST. That's really what it needs to be. Yeah. Okay, so this is going to be search. So search gives us a map, which we take as a pointer. Because search holds the map, but we need a pointer to it to modify it. Because here we want to do map dot. There we go. And so this way we don't need to pass down strategy. Just map.search.schema. Straight up. But this can fail because this can allocate and can but this can also return some kind of Ziggy failure. Also, I forgot, we need to worry about this being lenient. We forgot to put like leniency in here. There we go. Lenient or else false. Okay. Okay, what's the error here? Using the credit identifier P. Search map BLK schema path. There we go. Okay. So here we can try. But we need a dedicated error like called missing schema, I guess. Missing schema. And then I guess it depends on whether this should be treated as an error or not. So I guess this is like if strat dot lenient if it's not lenient, then we want to do sd debug dot error. Sorry, print error. Unable to find matching schema for document this. And then we do any error.store through order. There we go. So this way, we can even put this before. Looks nicer. Okay. So if we are not lenient, then we complain about a missing schema. Otherwise, we just ignore the error. Okay, so far so good. Is there a reason not to include the schema directly in the data file like a header? The idea is that you generally don't want to do this because you would want, not always, but you generally would want the schema to apply to multiple files. So I have this system where you can put a .ziggy schema file in a directory, and that applies to all Ziggy documents in that directory and any subdirectory. Then occasionally you might want to have a one-to-one relationship within the schema and document, and so I'm using the same file approach. To do same document, it means that we would need to have this right now are two different languages, so they would need those two different languages would need to both like coexist in the same grammar, and there would have to be a way of like saying which like you would need a way of visually saying, yeah, this section here is this section there is that. I guess you could put the schema in a comment. I think it's a little bit janky though. I think personally, I think that the dot file should be the standard approach to Ziggy schemas, like the preferred way of doing it. Think of it this way. it would be nice if you place this invisible file in a directory and in a config directory, and people just have help in their editor straight up right away. No questions asked. I think it would be cool. So yeah. And this instead is more for, I don't know, like user managed schema checking. And also for overriding like special cases where this guy is applied to many things. This one allows you to override one specific one. Would you support multiple config files in the same directory / project? Well, you can put, as long as you keep the subtrees separate, you can put a Ziggy schema file in each. So like, you have my foo configs, I don't know. It's a web server, so you have like virtual host configs, and then maybe you have some other thing called, I don't know, like bot policies, and that's a separate directory, and each one of them has its own .ziggy schema, and so they're separate that way. But if you kind of mix them, then mixing them, this helps you mix not only up to a degree, right? It helps you, basically it is that this helps you create special case, one-off special cases, and then this allows you to create the general schema that will be applied. Although keep in mind that you can, since you can nest them, you can have at different levels in the nesting, different Ziggy schemas that say different things. And only the innermost one would take hold. So linter and intro config could not be both in the project root? Well, they could if you use this, right? If you create linter.ziggy schema and editor.ziggy schema, then you could have linter.ziggy and editor.ziggy, and they could have different schemas if they wanted to. But I don't know, for those things, would you want to keep the schema with those files? I don't know. If I have to be honest, I'm not in love with projects that have a bajillion config files at the root. So it's not a use case that I've really thought about improving, because I feel like when I observe it from the outside, it feels a inherently flawed approach. Like every time I open a GitHub repository and there's like a full screen worth of garbage config files, I think, oh yeah, I'm looking at a Microsoft repository, right? Let's see in this ocean of garbage where the actually useful stuff is. So I feel like you shouldn't be doing that anyway. Case in point, language server WASI example. Microsoft has this, not this one. Microsoft has a bunch of repositories, example repositories for this stuff. Let's see if I can find one. VS Code example. No, bro, fuck you. Fuck you. So why is this opening? It's a directory called, it's a repo called VS Code extension samples. Why is this opening a web VS Code? Fuck you, Microsoft. Fuck you. God damn it, man. Okay. So they have this thing, right, with a bunch of examples. So the one that I was interested in was LSP. Actually, at this point, I don't even know. Is it under WASI or WASM? WASM language server, I guess. Okay, this is actually less bad than I thought. What was the one that was complete garbage? And you know what? These projects are not even that bad. There was another one that was horrible. What was it? Oh, it was GitHub sample action, something like this. action starter workflows. Is there anything blah blah? No, this is not even it. Yeah, okay. Actions, hello world JavaScript action. You open it and like look at this fucking thing. It's insane. This is a hello world action. .github. Double underscore fixtures. What is this? Is this Python? Double underscore tests. What is going on? Badges, this source, and then Chekhov YAML. Git attributes, git ignore, licensed YAML, markdown lint YAML, node version, prettier ignore, prettier rc.yaml, YAML lint.yaml. Wait, where's the linter for linting YAML lint.yaml? Code owners, fine. Wait, why is there code owners actually? Actually, why is there code owners? Order is important, yes, of course. License, readme, action.yaml, actionlint.yaml, eslint config. How much fucking linting is going on in this repo? Eslint config.mjs, jest config.js, package lock JSON, package JSON, rollup config.js. Bro, it's hell, by the way. This is hello world, by the way, huh? You know, imagine what you need to get if you want to make a real project. And this is just the files in this repo. Like, this has not even anything to do with dependencies. Oh no. Oh no. Look at this scroll bar. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Hello world, by the way. I think this is a little bit too minimalistic, honestly. I get it that it's hello world, but I would like to see more, you know, more sophistication. This is I don't know what's wrong with these people. But anyway, you know what? I was wrong. It wasn't the VS Code one. That one was actually fine. It's the GitHub, but I mean, GitHub is still Microsoft. So at the end of the day, the fuck you Microsoft wasn't even all that wrong. I don't know what's wrong with these people. Anyway. Okay. So we need to implement map.search.schema. Actually, no, we cannot do that under map because map is just a hash map. So we need to do it this way. Search.schema, GPA, map path. There we go. It's just a function. So search.schema. The unfortunate part of this of what I'm doing is that this guy will have to return, I guess, either fail or return a one of these guys, but we need to give them a name. So maybe more than search map, we should give a name to the inner type. found schema or match. Call it match. I don't know. Yeah. Does it even matter? Yeah, I think it's fine. And you know what? Match can be defined in here. That's fine. Okay, so GPA allocator map std string hash map of match. So there we go. Okay, so how is this gonna work? Okay, so first of all, the question number one is what path are we going to receive? And I would say we should receive the document path. So we should expect to do I forget the command, but like we need some path manipulation code. We need some path manipulation code, and because we need to take out that name. We should also assume that this path, that we're not going to store this path. Although I should think about it. Maybe we should keep this path around, you know? So here above, whenever this path is always heap allocated, it's either heap allocated or something that doesn't need to be freed. So we do it freed here, but I think we should do it like this. If strat is different than strat.star is different than or well, at this point we can do it. If strat is dot provided, then we free it. That's the idea. So okay, so the idea is if this path is not provided. Okay, I need to think about it actually. No, this is not helpful actually. Because I was thinking, well, we can keep prefixes around, but we cannot keep prefixes unless we open those as directories, in which case we can. Okay, you know what? No, let's reinstate this. Let's try to keep it around. Let's try to not need to create a bunch of different allocations for this stuff. Okay, so we have this path. I think another rule that we should introduce is that the recursive upward search stops at path. Like basically, we don't search upwards forever, until like I don't know, the root directory, but we search upwards up until path, and not above that. And obviously, if you give a absolute path, then I mean that's kind of on you. Or no, wait. No, because you could still give an absolute path and then we just never go upwards that directory. Yeah, I would say we do not go upwards. That. Path is a list of directories. No, path is one of directory. There are a list of directories, sure, but the path is definitely, it's just one of those guys. So the idea is that if you do Ziggy check and then you do dot, the idea is that we don't go above the current directory if you pass dot, for example. Or if you do foo, assuming that foo is a directory inside of the current directory, then we don't try to search above foo for a .ziggy file. I think that's a reasonable limitation, and I think that makes this tool better if we do it this way. Now, the problem is what should the LSP's behavior be, though? Because in the LSP case, I'm not sure we have this same concept. Although maybe there is the concept of a workspace that we could use for that. You know what? I think it's a reasonable decision. So the problem is with this path, this is a file path, and we do not know what the directory path is. So this means that we don't know when to stop. I mean, if it's a relative path, we do know when to stop. If it is an absolute path, then we don't know when to stop. That said, there is a second argument that instead we could say, well, what if passing absolute paths means that we basically keep going up in the path as long as we have a path to go up from. You know what? Let's implement this version for now. We can refine this later. So, okay, we have path. So I would do it this way. We do not store in hash map. We do not store something like foo/bar/.ziggy schema. We leave the .ziggy schema implied. We only write down directory paths, and we only write down directory paths, and and then we basically open the directory and try to open the file from that open directory. Or we don't. Or we make, or we don't do the directory opening, and instead we do save in the hash map the directory path, but when opening those things, we instead base everything off of CWD, and I keep modifying a buffer in the arena allocator. I can even do the init on it so that we keep using the same bytes. That seems to be the best of both worlds. Okay, so something like this. Something like var, maybe schema path, or just schema path, I guess. Dot path, dot schema path, schema path. So try check arena. Oh, I need arena. Const arena equals check. So dot ziggy schema with a slash. I think I need an FS. I need one of the FS thingies. Never mind. I can't do it this way. So const. Actually var their path is path is std.fs.path.something of path. I don't know, their name. Strip the last component from a file path. If the path is a file in the current directory, no directory component, then it returns null. Okay, so the idea is if we get null, what do we do if it's null? We do nothing? Yeah. Missing schema. Okay, and then we do var schema path. Okay, you know what? Let's do it the opposite path there. Path schema. I like this. SCDFS path join. Yeah, but this time we do that in the arena. And what we want to join is path there and dot z-schema. Okay. And basically we do this while true. So we start with path. We do their name. We chop off the last component, which we know is gonna be a Ziggy file. We can even ask for this. So we know that this is gonna be a Ziggy file. So when we start, then we make it the first directory, the first real directory. We make a path schema from it, but /.ziggy schema. Put it in the arena. So this is a temporary thing, while this one is a slice of a string allocated on GPA. So this guy is permanent. Then what do we do? Then we say, okay, we defer the init path schema. Actually, it's free. Okay. And then also this can be const. Don't mutate it. Okay. And then we say, okay, let's start opening this. I can copy some of the stuff from up here. So here we open path schema. We try to open this file not in the arena, but in GPA, because this needs to be long-lived. Then we say file not found or some other fatal error. Okay, if it's file not found, then we just continue because it was a bust. Otherwise, if there's a hard error, then we fatal. That's fine. Then this gives us the schema source if we succeed. And then it's basically this same logic. Put in here. This can return Zig invalid if the schema that we found has an error, and that is fine. But in this case, in the case that a dot file has an error, since it pertains multiple files, we make this a fatal error, because otherwise we would have to print like a bunch of errors for every related document because we couldn't validate them. So let's make it fatal. Found parsing errors in a .zig schema file. And we just consider it a hard error. Okay. Then oh, you know what? We don't even need the catchum in reality because we can try this. Also up here, we don't need the catchum. Well, I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so now we need to place this stuff in the hash map. Although we haven't even searched the hash map yet. Probably should start with that, huh? So basically, every time we get a path there, before we do that, we do const gop equals this is a pointer to a map. We do map.get or put, and our key is going to be path there, and our value. Actually, that's it, right? This. So we try this, and then we do if gop.found existing, return gop.value ptr.star. There you go. We return a match. Okay. If we did not found it existing, then we do all this stuff, and then at the end we say, okay. Oh wait, there's a continue in here. Wait a second. Wait a second. There's a continue. I think the hash map needs to have something more than just a match. I think it should have like an optional match, and when it's null, it means that we did scan that directory, but there was no file. So we should take that as a hint to short circuit the process. It should be something like this: if found existing, they should be return these, or else continue. If it is present and it is null, if it's present and it is null, then we know that we want to short circuit this. We want to go up one level faster, search, and try again. Because we should be lucky, I guess. Unless we want. But I guess it's fine. I guess it's fine. This is not too bad. Could be made better, but this is not too bad as is. So Yeah, this could definitely be made so much better. But such is life. Okay, so as I was saying, so if this was not found existing, then we do this gop, so value ptr equals null. So we start by setting it to null immediately. Are you replacing the SCDFS stuff with IO interface as well? I am generally, yes. But this case specifically, I'm not doing that because I want this bad boy. It's actually just for convenience. I could switch also this one out. But right now, this function is not implemented in io.dir. So I have to grab it from fs dir. And again, I could re-implement this with like two separate calls to the right functions, or just make a wrapper. But I'm being lazy, so this part I'm not updating. But it's just like an artifact of the fact that the standard library is like in flux right now. Everything else is updated to IO. Yes. Also, here's another reason why I don't care about this right now is because I am with this rewrite that I'm doing. I'm purposely targeting IO.threaded. So the fact that I'm using a blocking IO API in this case is not a problem because I'm doing blocking IO in any case. So again, these are like all decisions, actually even questionable decisions that I'm making. But I just wanted to see how it was to do this this way. So I'm purposely targeting SCD threaded, none of the other IO implementations. And I can do that because keep in mind, I'm doing this work in the CLI tool. I'm not doing this work. I'm not doing this in the core Ziggy part. The core Ziggy business logic, like the part that you would import as a library, that has none of those decisions in it. So it can be still as flexible as one wants. But for the CLI, since I'm in control of the main function, I can decide to specialize on one IO implementation, and that's what I'm doing right now. I do not claim that this is the optimal choice to make, but it is a legitimate one, and so I want to explore it. So as I was saying, we set to null immediately so that in case that we exit from here, we're all set. But if we do reach the end, then we can do this gop.value ptr schema source schema est. Actually, can even do a single liner, a one liner. Put a one liner, return it. I think I may be forgetting about something. I think we might need some defer free in case of errors. So here, no, if there's an error, we either fatal or we have not allocated anything. Here, there might be an error. The problem is that any error that this guy can turn, you know what? Okay, so for clarity, then let's reinstate the catchum. This can only turn into a catch into an so this is a panic, so it doesn't matter. Here, nothing else can fail. So I don't need any other defer for correctness. Okay, we should have implemented this. We just need for this stuff to now reconcile. So search is one of these things. If it's search, so we need to do initialization because we were not doing, actually, does it even matter? Wait a second. Maybe we should do initialization in here, right? Or else empty. And this is where we do initialization of this stuff. We don't do initialization. I mean, we could have also put it here, but I don't know. It would have been weird down there anyway. Is it like 014? What, Zig? Yeah, kinda. Or is it a question about like the breakages? I don't remember what breakage we had. What cataclysm did we did we have in the Zig ecosystem on 014? I forgot. You know, it's just a blur for me. Okay, so we save it in the map. We return it. We're happy. Otherwise, we return either some kind of file access error or, oh, here we're even catching right away, which is interesting. We're being a little bit inconsistent with these panics. I think that when we have a centralized panic management inside of check file, then everything should try to reutilize this logic here, I believe, honestly. But in any case, okay, let's see, do we build? Of course we don't. So let's make this work. Hash map, oh wait, does it need to be hash map unmanaged? Oh shit, we still have these, huh? So string hash map unmanaged. So that means let's get or put GPA. Yeah, to be fair, we did not specify the allocator. That's bad. Read alloc something. I don't see it in the current STD. If you are talking about read file alloc options, it does exist in current STD, but it is still inside std-fs dir. So you need to do std-fs cwd, or in any case, get an instance of fs dir, which is different than io dir. Because io dir exists, but it doesn't have that function. Well, that quote-unquote method. But it's just that it needs to be moved. So I'm using this temporarily, but sooner than later, this will be moved also to io.dir, and so I will be able to change this to io.dir.cwd. Expected type pointer hash map found const pointer hash map. Why am I getting a const pointer hash map? Because this is a const pointer. That's why. Dot path there. What? Why did I do this? Expected type const8 found a bunch of stuff. Right, we need to try this. STD right now is super confusing. Yeah, standard library right now is in flux. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. There is a in progress move towards the new IO stuff, but not everything has been ported over. One thing that you need to be aware of is that porting stuff over in the standard library, it's not just a matter of sitting down and, you know, moving the function over and, you know, you copy paste the code somewhere else, make adjustments, and you're done. Would be nice if that was the case. The standard library is used heavily in the compiler itself. So if you make a change of that kind, the compiler itself will need to be fixed, and the build system, everything that depended on the previous function, will need to be moved to the new function. And again, that doesn't seem maybe like a huge deal on the surface level, but the new function has a different set of arguments. So in the, well, most importantly, it needs IO. Like it needs an instance of IO. So now you have this new dependency that needs to be wired everywhere it's needed in the compiler, and which is not a huge deal. You can obviously do it. It's just an argument extra you need to pass around. But the compiler is big, and so you need to do this work for a non-trivial amount of code. That's mostly it. So it will happen, but it will take a while. So the math found found optional match. Yeah. Type CLI check match cannot be destructured. You can't? Because it has to be a tuple. Okay. So I guess we can do this. I'm trying to think on how to do this. I think we should fix this here at this point. It's just people write something like the Beetle in 0.14 and just 2 weeks in, it seems like I should wait for 0.16 release at least. Well, it took a while for us to jump from 0.14 to where we are now. So, I mean, it would be cool if it only had taken 2 weeks, but it is longer. But for sure, there are cataclysmic updates. It's it's the V0 programming language wild ride. You get to enjoy the speed, and sometimes bugs fly into your mouth, and you gotta swallow. Such is life. Let's see. No field name lenient. Oh, come on. Oh, because it's not right. Lenient is not part of the strategy. Lenient is not part of the strategy, so we cannot do this decision making like this. Have the strategy. I guess we might as well just get the full command at this point. Just give me the full command in check file, and then we do cmd.strategy. So this is cmd lenient. Actually, no, we just pass on the full cmd. Now. Okay, how are we doing now? Cannot dereference non-pointer type 118. Yeah, true. Okay, now we build. Okay, we do now Ziggy check dot. We lost some new lines. Yeah, because this is just a print. Oh, there you go. Perfetto. Oh, sorry. Perfect. Unable to apply matching schema for documents, blah, blah, blah. Schema equals schema. Fatal error, missing path arguments. Okay, so if we pass it in, it complains a lot. I'm gonna move schema to food-1 ziggy-schema. So now this guy has a corresponding ziggy schema. None of the others do. Let's see what happens. Okay. It complains that it can't find a schema for any of the other files except the -1, for which everything works. And we get a bunch of complaints. Okay. Rename this to Ziggy schema. Ziggy check. That did not go well. But it will work if we call it from the outside. Or it won't. We bungled this. We're passing down the wrong argument from check there. Path is not the full path. This can be used to operate directly on base name rather than path. I don't understand. Shouldn't path be the full thing? There's clearly a problem. Why doesn't path have the bench prefix? Oh, I get it. It will give me the path. But only nested from the directory itself, which previously was conveniently the same thing as CWD, but it is not the same thing as CWD. It just happened to be the case. Oh my god. Okay, so we need to fix our tools. So that means that when we here open a directory on a path, this needs to be their path there, or their path. So we path there. This is the path to our directory. And so check file needs also that. Path there and path file. Okay, so check file then gets path there. And path file. So what is the problem now? Either, oh my god, this is all now more complicated because these fucking things. You know what? You know what I'm thinking? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I think we're thinking what I'm thinking. You know what? Never mind. I take all of these back. And instead, we don't dupe. We do not dupe. Instead, we alloc print. Well, we do fs join. And we do that unconditionally. Fuck it. We fs join unconditionally. So no need for heap string because we do that unconditionally. SDFS path join path item of path. Fuck it. That's what we pass down. Heap string doesn't exist anymore. Heap string doesn't exist anymore. We do that every single fucking time. Path. Just to constitute. If strategy is not provided, it's GPA free now. We pass down just path. There's no bytes anymore. Also in printing, it's just path. You know what? We can even put a comma in here. I think this is nicer. Just path. And everything else can stay the same. And we need to do the same for FMTA. Now, oh, let's fix this, but then we need to switch to FMT as well. Right. GPA. There you go. All right, all this init bullshit. Oh, this is interesting. Right, because actually, we still have one code path where this stuff doesn't matter. How do we do this? I guess we can do this. Yeah, not optimal, but fine. Fuck it. Segfault. So far so good. This segfault really surprises me. What the heck happened? Also, we're tokenizing a schema. We're tokenizing a schema. I mean, yes, we do tokenize a schema. But we do that at the very beginning. Do we not? Well, most importantly, we should be doing it only once before we definitely we should be doing it before we start checking it for any duplicates. Oh. Forgot about one teeny tiny important detail. Teeny tiny important detail. Just a super tiny one. We need to synchronize the map. Search.schema needs to synchronize with other threads. There needs to be some kind of lock that protects the map. Kind of an important thing. You can even put it outside. Is the mutex out there? We grab the mutex. But that means that we need IO. So we circle back to needing IO, which I had removed as an argument, and now we need it. Well, what do you know? So there still has IO, file does not. Give it back. Pass it in. We're still segfaulting. We're reading garbage. Okay, we need to fix. There might be some other mistake that we're making. Huh. Let's see. By the way, there has been an issue with some math functions regarding U-size on 16-bit platforms. They were not properly implemented. The math functions are very fiddly, and a while ago, Amlag had like a tiny adventure. Maybe not even that tiny. He had an adventure just making sure that the semantics of comp time operations on comp time math operations would match the runtime behavior. And it took him a while to actually go through it. And I think that the design was not even that obvious, like exactly what it is that you were supposed to do in all situations. In some of them, because it's nuanced, basically. It's nuanced because you say, wait, would you not just have comp time always match runtime? The answer is no. You almost want that. You want that plus you want to catch a compile time uses of whenever you encounter like undefined. When you are doing an operation and there's an undefined in the mix, except that some undefined values are fine, some are not, and I don't remember all the details, but it was very nuanced. So yeah, math sucks. Okay, what are we doing wrong? So we do get our put. If we found existing, we return whatever that is. If it's not found existing, and we return a copy of it. We don't return a pointer, we return a copy. So it means that because we return a copy, we can release the lock in here. So, I mean, if we return like a pointer to this thing, for example, then the locking would need to be outside, not inside. But no, we do copy. We're using the right key. I think we somehow also we should do it from the outside. Yeah, we consistently segfault over this. There's a validate arena. Oh shit, there we go. That's the problem. That's the problem. The schema goes on GPA. this bad boy is long-lived. Found the problem. Pa-da-pam. Pa-pam, pa-da-pa-dam. Good job. I think we implemented it. At least a basic version of it. For some definitions of it. More than basic, like a decent version. Maybe not the greatest ever, but a decent version. So goodbye heap string in FMT. I'm now fixing this problem that we have also in FMT where we were duping, but we cannot dupe. File path has to be try SED FMT unlock print. And we unlock print to the directory path. GPA path and item dot path. Okay, again, not perfect, but we're making it work. So this means that a full path is now a say constituate. In the case of FMT, we can de-init this stuff always. Does not matter. Ba-bum. Pass down full path. Full path loses the what? Loses the dot bytes stuff. Okay. I probably missed some of this stuff. Expected fragments found 2. Oh, it's not unlock print. It's SCD path join path. There you go. 57. What keyboard are you using? I'm using an Advantage 360. This is the top level. So we need to copy path. Number name bytes and constituate. Yeah, that is true. Okay, that seems to be the only one. Function is collected 2 arguments, found only 1. Right, you wait. Happy? Okay. Okay. It's correct that it does not complain. So I haven't checked the recursive nature of Ziggy schema, but I think for now it's fine. I think we have more pressing matters in our hand at the moment. So what would the next thing that we want to work on be? Either trying to make the LSP less broken, because right now the LSP is very broken, or fix the weird parsing error. I think I want to fix the weird parsing error that I don't understand how it could happen, and yet it did happen. Wait, you son of a bitch. This thing was going insane the other day. He was freaking out about this colon. What had happened? What had happened to cause that? He was freaking out. Okay, let me try some different build modes. Release fast, single threaded. Release fast, single threaded makes it go insane. But it's not the single threaded stuff. It's release fast that makes it go insane. That is crazy. Oh, you know what it might be? So wait, if I make a non-release build, single threaded, so now it doesn't freak out anymore. It does not. But if I make a release build, dash D optimize equals release fast, then it goes insane. That is funny, although not completely absurd, because in the parser code, I do have some switches for release and non-release mode. And so I might have broken the symmetry. I'm in my branching, because I literally have some branching of this kind. Let me see if I can find an example of this stuff. Boop, boop, boom. In parser, in node meta, there we go. Oh, I'm using debug runtime safety. So I'm seeing that certain things are either U32 or void. Here, I'm appending. Here, I'm appending, but otherwise I put void. Here I'm asserting. Oh shit, I think this is it. I think this is literally it. I have an assert that has a side effect that I put behind an if. That is such a bad idea. So this assert has to be like this. That was it. I bet you that was it. Also, there are no other like references in my files, so that was it. Yeah, it works on my machine. Agreed. Oh shit. Okay, so here's the problem. Because I was trying to check this, and sorry, I was trying to make this compile, and so I did it in a lazy manner. So equals to this, else void. Basically, I try to fix that build error in a lazy way and compromise the logic. That's on me. Let's go, man. There we go. No more freaking out. And that works. And I get schema these matches. Expected bytes found int. Expected bytes found int. Expected bytes found int. Cooks. Cooks is bytes indeed. Expected bytes found int. Wait. That's Quicks. Oh no, that's Quicks. Why are you complaining about Quicks? No. Ah. There's still a bug, but I think this bug is just a logic bug in the schema validation code. Fuck. I thought I was done with it, but I'm not. Oh shit. I know what it is. Oh no, that's an annoying logic error that I left in the validation code. It's in the schema validation code. That is entirely on me. The good news is that I know what it is. But I am not gonna fix this on stream. That function is finicky. I've already tortured people watching enough. Yes, the last couple of days with the Redis client deadlock stuff. So instead, maybe we could take a look at the language server. To be honest, if after I fix what I know to be a horrible, so after I fix this logic bug and I fix what I know to be a horrible thing that I'm doing in the language server, we could merge into main. I mean, we will have regress the conversion command, but that's not the end of the world, because now we actually are in a position where we can where we actually know how to tackle this. I think I finally know enough to really know how to tackle the conversion subcommand. Huh. So I think we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. The only thing that I would need to do is solve file conversion the way I want it to work 100% for one use case, which would be JSON to Ziggy and maybe Ziggy to JSON. And then I could say, look, for every other file format, this is the strat, this is how we do it. You would need to implement it in a comparable manner. And then contributors could do it. And that would only leave at this point querying, the querying subcommand as the only missing piece. Well, big missing piece. There are still minor things that I would like to do. Not bad. Not bad, actually. Not bad. And the LSP is actually not even in such a bad situation, like foo bar buzz bar union description bar dot quicks bar dot cooks bar buzz buzz backslash. Okay, I need to restart the editor because I don't do a good job at refreshing right now. That's one of the things I want to fix. But if we do space K, we get descriptions. The description of bar cooks. Actually, I would say that maybe this description should also give the description of this field and then below the description of the object as a whole. Same also in this case. we don't have a description for these fields, but I mean, we could implement it. In any case, what we already have is decent. I noticed Zig also have a test syntax, which I assume it's unit tests. So if so, do you use unit tests? Yep. It's not just for unit tests. You can, we have a work in progress uh, support for fuzzing. So it's going to be also for fuzz tests. And in reality, you know, you can do stuff in tests that is not just pure unit testing. So I'm honestly hesitant to call those unit tests because some of them will be unit tests. The majority of cases maybe will be unit tests, but it's not unique to that. So, and it's not like the language says, no, those have to be unit tests. In any case, yeah, we do have tests. And so, yeah, I do sometimes test my code. So let's take a look at the LSP code and see what we're doing wrong in there. Let's see what we are doing bad. Also, we need to implement the schema validation nesting stuff. LSP. Okay, we're doing a few things bad. For sure. Client is. Do we advertise a version for ourselves? Because we see the client version, but do we advertise one for ourselves? Also, this can go. See, if request client info, blah, 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 version. Well, for example, let's make it better. So we can ignore LSP. We can omit LSP. It's Ziggy. We know that it's a language server. We are communicating over the language server protocol, so no need to repeat that. As Andrew would say, no redundant names. Then we can do add import of actually, good question. How do we do this? Can we do it like this? Just add import version. No, we would kind of like to import. I guess, is there options.version? Okay, let's look at our build.zig. So how does this work? Target optimize, single threaded. That's what I just added. Put a comment here, make it nice. Ziggy module, folders, CLI, CLI.exe, Ziggy check, setup tests, setup release step. Oh, this is not very sophisticated. I did so much better more recently. Okay, we need to make our build script more fancy, for sure. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna copy what I have in Super HTML. That is the latest and greatest that we have in terms of this stuff. Okay, version is an unused constant. Override the version of Ziggy. What are your thoughts on the LSP protocol in general? Will there be a super LSP with Ziggy-based protocols? One can dream. The language server protocol is a absolute disaster when it comes to what gets sent on the wire. It's a weirdo HTML header plus length prefixed JSON payloads, and it sucks ginormous dicks. But the overall design of the language server like system is not bad. I think they did a decent job at creating a tool that is versatile enough to adapt to different editors and a variety of different languages. Obviously, there's limits because you can't make a protocol that is perfectly tailored for every single language and every single thing. But I think they did find a interesting balance there. Although if we were probably to look at every single feature, you could see that sometimes the feature could be better, more precise, and some other times the feature is instead overly specified for like object-oriented bullshit stuff. But setting that aside, I don't think it's setting aside the fact that the wire protocol is it's disgusting. The rest of the thing is, I don't know, generally fine. I think that language servers are. I think it's good that we can have language servers, but I also think that the existence of language servers should not stop us from instead implementing non-LSP based integration for certain languages when making an editor. Because the language server is nice, but it makes a series of trade-offs that you don't necessarily want to make. For example, let's say you're making a text editor that is tailored, like specialized on editing Zig code. Sure, you could integrate with diagnostics using a language server system, but for example, why does it need to be a separate process that you communicate with over sockets? Well, standard input, standard output, or whatever. Wouldn't it be better if it was a piece of code, like a static library that you can interact with in your same memory space? I would argue that there are probably advantages in doing that. Big ones, probably, once you start talking about big Zig documents, like big Zig documents. But obviously, the idea is that the problem would be that then a bug in that logic would bring down the editor itself. LSP protects you from that, right? If there's a bug in the language server explodes and your editor does not, which is good. But the point is that is a good idea when you have one editor from which you want to use a bajillion different LSPs and you don't trust them because they're all wonky. But like my LSPs, which is kind of wonky sometimes. So that's fair. But if you're making an editor dedicated to specialized to editing Zig, you shouldn't be aiming for that. You shouldn't be aiming for that compromise. You should be aiming for cool, correct integration that is very efficient, and you should aim for ironing out every single bug that makes your thing crash. You should not be fine with the thing crashing like once a minute or something like that. So, long story short, I think that LSP is overall, without a doubt, a net positive, but it's not like we have solved developer tools for like the language, the developer tools for, getting language diagnostics in your editor. It's one solution, good one, but it shouldn't be the solution that everybody uses for everything, which is kind of what it's becoming, but such is life. Okay, version. And I think we should make a module for version. What does this guy do? We pass it into options. Right. This part is all interesting, but I'm gonna skip it for now because I don't know what to do with it. I'm just gonna do the version one for now. And so we do Ziggy module dot add options. There we go. So now we have an options module, and we can genuinely say, oh shit, I'm giving it to Ziggy. I should not give it to Ziggy. I should give it to the CLI module. CLI module now has options. And so from here, I can do options.version, which is good. Perfect. So this works. Small improvement. Let's go. So your IO threaded deadlock example, is there a fix for it yet? Yes. It's in this branch. IO threaded no queue. You can read the comment I left in this commit, which explains the other implementation that I made that does not deadlock. Also, do not check out this comment specifically because then I found 2 bugs using it, which I fixed afterwards. So get the head commit of this branch. But yeah, that one has the fix. It's actually not that complicated. Okay, so with this, we have a version flag, pass down version to the CLI tool. And there's also setup release step to which we want to pass version, or do we not want to pass version? Wait, how do we use version? Oh, right. We take it from zone otherwise. So yeah, we should pass version. Also, oh, I'm basically recreating the CLI thing. So it means that we'll have to have options, not just version. Okay. Options and version. And I don't think we can trust anything that is in here. So let's take a look at what we do in Super HTML, where we are like way more fancy. Release. Oh, Zine. Look at this copy pasted code. I mean, this command is only for me, but that's funny. Okay. Okay, release. Great release build of Zig. Get git version, which we need to implement. If git version is a tag, then awesome. And we call setup release step with these arguments. Otherwise, depend on fail, FNT, error git tag does not match the on package version. Else depend on error git tag missing, cannot make release builds. And here we have a Ziggy module.add options, which we don't need. This setup release test step can go. Okay, we need get git version. This returns a thing called version. Do we even care about this? So I use it here. I get git version, and then I look at tag. I say if it's a tag. You know what? Fine. I'll just copy paste a few more lines. Okay, what problems do we have? And use function parameter. Yeah, that's true, because we need to also take a look at what's in here. Although at this point we don't need version, but we do need options. So let's see what we do in here. So we have targets. Release step has already been made. Oh, we do get passed in the release step though, because we apply set effects to it. I don't know, what am I doing? Okay. Targets for target. So we okay. Then optimize, not important. Oh, but we do use it multiple times. Okay, so optimize, okay. Because we make our own we pass optimize to these guys. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. But fine, whatever. Release XZ, Ziggy, root module, this guy. Um, passing options, create Ziggy executable. Okay, now we need all the other fancy magic, which is this. Oh, plus WASM. I'm gonna ignore WASM for now. Okay, let's see that everything looks correct. T. Yeah, OS tag. That defines the archive name. Zip. This is called release XZ. Release step. Depend on blah blah blah. Archive name. No, wait. It was already just indented perfectly. Wow. Okay. So this is all. This is actually all well and good. Arch x64 Linux. Sorry, Windows. Goodbye x64 macOS. Everything else we're good. Okay, this should be it. We still Zig build. Expected two arguments, found one. Oh, it's the name. Are you not doing x86 glibc? Why would I need to? I'm not saying this in the sense of, oh man, why would I ever? I'm generally asking, do you have an argument in favor of doing it? I don't think there is one. I have no idea what you're even working on. It's a CLI tool for a JSON replacement language. So think of JSON, just slightly different syntax. I mean, hopefully it's a little bit more than just that, but as an approximation. And making a CLI tool for it. And the CLI tool gives you auto formatting, querying. I still have to implement that. This is still late to do. It gives you schema checking. That's what I was working on right now. And it gives you format conversion. That is still, some of it was implemented, then I regressed it horribly, and then we'll need to re-implement or add it back. And then there's a language server. That one is really there. So it gives you basically tooling for, for doing stuff with the language. So long story short, it's a tiny CLI tool. So I'll try to give you an answer to this question that matches my understanding. I don't think there is a reason at all to try and target glibc. You just make a worse executable. On Linux, you have the ability to not target any libc. So you can do the syscalls directly if you want. And Zig does implement that in the standard library. So normally, by default, we wouldn't even need any libc integration. Actually, I think that I copy pasted that code. Maybe I should even take out the muscle, because I don't even want muscle. Like, I don't need any libc in this current code. If I did depend on C libraries, so if I wanted to have a C library as a dependency in this project, so I had C source code that it would compile and link against, then I would need to pick a libc, because the library probably does use libc code. It's not guaranteed. There are C libraries that don't use anything from the standard library, but most of them will. Like, I would expect let's say that realistically, I would probably, if I use a C dependency, it would be a pre-existing parser for one of those formats. Let's say that I'm going for supporting as many formats as I can. I will probably not want to implement a custom parser for each and every one of them. So I will probably try to import as a dependency pre-existing parsers for those languages. Especially maybe not for the three major ones, but for anything else, I would probably want to do that. So at that point, that thing will probably use libc, and so I will need to link against the libc. Muscle can be statically linked, and so it creates a static executable that you can copy paste in any Linux distro, and it will work. If I target glibc instead, I will get an executable that wants dynamic linking. So it will want to link against glibc, because you cannot statically link glibc, and so it will potentially fail on certain machines that have, for example, horribly outdated glibc versions. So you're just making a worse executable. That said, this is where there's like a star, which I think this is the part that kind of completes the picture. And this part, again, it's based on my understanding. But as I understand, the way this stuff works is that when I, as the creator of this tool, make releases, I do not care about system integration. For me, the best choice is a static executable. That said, let's say that a distro tomorrow decides to package my CLI tool. If they decide to do that, they might have a reason to want and target glibc. They will have their own machine, they make their own releases, they will know which glibc version they want to target. In the case of Zig, it's also very nice because Zig bundles pretty much every single version of glibc, except some horribly outdated ones, but still also bundles a bunch of those outdated ones. So it's also really good in that sense. So they will have a reason to want to make a non-static build of this executable because they will be targeting, system integration in the way that they'd like for it to be. And so their build of my program will target glibc. But I don't think it makes sense for me to also make glibc releases. I think it's just a bad idea. So it's not necessarily a universally bad idea, right? To make glibc versions. That's what I'm saying. Making glibc releases is not a universally bad idea, but it is a bad idea for the role that I play in the ecosystem, in the software ecosystem. It's distro maintainers, the ones that might want to do that stuff, not me. And then after that, you can still, maybe you can put into discussion their motivations for doing so, and you could conclude that even in their case, they should not be doing it. Which I don't know. I guess it's a discussion that could be had. But how can I say? But it's a separate one, right? It's kind of a separate thing. Yeah. One sec. Okay. So what do we do next? Oh yeah, the C standard library is fairly optional. So here's how it works. On macOS, you have to use the C standard library. No matter what language you have to use the C standard library because the syscall numbers will change across different releases of macOS. So if you try to do a syscall directly using, like, you inline the machine code necessary to do a specific syscall, you're thinking that you're invoking, open file. Instead, you will be invoking something else. Bad. So you have to use libc because Apple does not guarantee stability of syscall numbering or their interfaces. The C standard library, the libc that macOS gives you, is the stable interface. So that's what you should be targeting when doing macOS. I mean, you don't have to. You can break the rules, but then your software will stop working across macOS releases, and it's not great. That actually happened with Go. Go at some point decided to not follow this rule, and all Go executables broke between one version of macOS and the next. And they kind of learned their lesson. On macOS, on Linux, syscalls are guaranteed to be stable, so you don't have to use the systandard library. You can skip that. And the systandard library is actually a pretty chunky abstraction on top of syscalls. Like, it does a lot of stuff. And a good chunk of what it does not do in a good way. So it's a series of abstractions that 40 years later, don't really always hold that well. So, yeah. Are you guys working on the package manager? Is there a vision for it, like making it word class like cargo? There is a vision. It's definitely not making it word class like cargo. We already have a package manager, by the way. It's not complete. It's not feature complete, but you already have one. It's Zig build. You can specify dependencies. Like, for example, look at my project here. My CLI tool depends on a project called known folders and on a project called lspkit. These things are hosted on GitHub, and and there's a command to add them as a dependency. And then when I run Zig build the first time, the Zig build command will download these dependencies for me. It's not doing version selection for me right now. So if you have like some weird version mismatch, it's on you to solve it manually for now. But it is planned to also have this functionality. Getting into the word classness of cargo, cargo does this thing where it gives you the newest version of a dependency that is compatible with your requirements. So if you say that you want, dependency foo at version 1, if version 1.01 has come out, Cargo will give you the new one. And so you always end up with mystery mixes. You end up downloading the newest release that has come out 1 second ago. You don't know yet if this has been the author that has been, whose account has been hijacked, or if it's actually them. You don't know if they actually did only make a patch release, as in they actually did make changes that are correct for a patch release, or if they broke compatibility. You don't know. But you're going to find out soon as your package manager is done downloading. With Zig, we are not going to do that. We're doing, you're doing minimum version selection, where basically you get the minimum version of your dependencies that satisfies your constraints. So it means that if you want version 1 of a package, you get version 1.00, even if 0.01 has just come out. That's the idea. I think it's a significantly saner way. I mean, I kind of made it clear, right, in the way that I explained it. But I think it's a significantly saner way of looking at dependencies than getting the constant mystery mix, which is funny because then you know what they do then? This is hilarious if you think about it. Those systems, what they started implementing recently, the idea where you do get the latest version, but you can add a setting to the package manager to not give you versions that have been published for like less than a week. Think how funny and also kinda ass backwards it is. It's hilarious. It's I don't know what to call it. I was about to call it crab mentality, but I didn't want to make a joke about Rust and crab stuff. And it's not exactly even the best definition for it. It's penguin mentality. I would call it penguin mentality. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos where there's a bunch of penguins. They're all standing on the edge of a piece of ice with the ocean in front of them. And they don't want to jump because they don't know what's in the water. So they want one motherfucker to jump first and kind of see if there's a shark, a seal, whatever in there that might eat them. So actually, I don't know if seals eat penguins, but you get the idea. And so they're all waiting, right, for somebody to take the plunge. But here's the funniest thing. If you implement this, so if you implement the policy where the package manager does not give you packages that are newer than 1 week, what happens? What happens is that if everybody has that fucking setting, then nobody gets that package for 1 week. And then once the week is done, is over, then everybody gets the package. Sure, there has been, in theory, 1 week worth of time for somebody to audit that version change and see if something wrong happened. But it's but if everybody just settles for just waiting for a week, they're basically waiting for somebody, right, for some penguin to jump into the water first before everybody else. It's kind of dumb. Why? It's from my perspective, it's so obvious. The minimum version selection is the obvious correct approach to this. I don't know. I just find that in pure insanity, pure like just a bad idea. Like, have you never put that into question when you implemented this stuff? I don't know. Gingerbeard dislikes package managers for this reason. But you don't have to implement package managers this way. You can implement package managers in a way where they do minimum version selection, which is what I was describing, which is what Zig does, where you just do not get new version unless you ask for it. If you ask for if you ask for version 1 of a package, you get 1.00 until you start asking for something more. And the idea is that if you bump up your dependency version, then that's when you should be the auditing work to see if the new versions of packages that you're getting contain what you want them to contain. And that makes sense. That is a good point, because it's like it's a step in your development process, right? Sometimes it makes sense. You have dependencies and you take a moment to update your dependencies, fix anything that has changed in the meantime, maybe update away from deprecated APIs, that kind of stuff. So you're doing that work at that moment, and that's when you opt into newer versions, not when you're downloading the fucking package and you get a new mystery mix every single time. So that to me makes sense. And I don't think that that's what Gingerbill says. I think that Gingerbill is just against package managers completely, and I don't agree with any of his reasonings. So, yeah. Isn't there a log file to solve the dependency version? You can do cargo build, cargo install, whatever -- log. And yes, you can tell these package managers to use a log file to install a specific set of versions, for sure. You can do that, but it's not the default. They don't do that by default. They do that only if you ask them. And sometimes, you know what happens? That the log file doesn't even get committed to version control. So without a log file, when you have a package without a log, like a project without a log file, then you have no starting point. You're forced to start from whatever the latest mix is going to be. You can also target only the exact version. Yes, but no. It's not a solution. Think about it, Pudotta. Think about what is the problem if you target an exact version. Think about it. Okay, I'm looking forward to an answer. If you're not coming up with an answer very quickly, I'll give you mine. But there are obvious downsides in doing that. It's not a solution. I mean, it's a partial solution, but it comes with problems. So we're looking at the LSP stuff, right? So we do, does our Zig build work, or is it still borked? It's borked. Root source file struct build has no member named options. Right. You don't see the downside? Okay, I'll tell you. The downside is this. If you target an exact version and you have a diamond dependency situation where you have package, you depend on A and B, and both depend on C. If you target an exact version and you have that A wants 1.00 and B wants 1.01, and they both say it has to be this version, then your version resolution fails because C cannot be both. I guess the alternative could be that you have 2 copies of C in your project. That's bad. That's really bad. Sometimes it doesn't just straight up doesn't compile. Some other times you just get code bloat, and you don't want that. So that's the problem, right? What you want is your package manager to just say, okay, this one wants 0. You still want to have semantic version semantics. So you still want to say, okay, this one wants version 1.0. This one wants version 1, but it means that it is going to be compatible with a patch bump up, also a minor one maybe, but certainly a patch. And this other one wants 1.01, so B wants that. So A is definitely going to be compatible with 1.01, or rather, it's very likely to be compatible. And the fact that B depends on 1.01 in theory means that it has been audited as well, because somebody has explicitly requested that version of the package. So we can resolve C to 1.01 and everybody's happy, and you didn't get a mystery mix. but then your package manager doesn't do that. I think your package manager is pretty much betraying you if it doesn't give you that functionality. I'm sorry. So I do not agree that Cargo is world class because of that. I'm sure it's a good package manager in so many ways, but that style of version resolution, it's, in my opinion, inherently flawed because it opens the door for, it just gives you mystery mixes all the fucking time. It's so dumb. Nobody wants a mystery mix every single time. and then everybody's flabbergasted, like, oh my god, this was the what's it called, it's not called dependency chain. What is this thing that everybody keeps saying, that the thing that where somebody corrupts one of your dependencies? Oh my god, it's terminology. It's a type of terminology that people have been using recently, and every time it cracks me up. Every time I read it, I'm forgetting the actual term. I'm brain farting so hard on it. If two modules request specific patch versions, minimum patch will be selected. Well, okay. Your question is slightly underspecified because it depends on the package manager implementation. Different package managers will do different things. In the case of Zig, this is not implemented yet at all. So it is planned to be minimum version selection. But right now there's nothing implemented. So you're saying, what if somebody requests a specific package version? A specific patch version. Well, first of all, it is not guaranteed that you will be able to do this. Probably you will, but until it's done, it is not guaranteed. But if we assume that it is going to be allowed, like if you will be able to specify to request a specific patch version, so like basically lock in a specific version all the way down to the patch number, then minimum patch will be selected. No, it will be selected the patch version that you ask for. Like if you say that you want version 1.2.3 of a package, you will get 1.2.3 of a package. And if you will end up in a situation where you have two packages that they disagree, then the resolution will fail and you will get an error that will tell you, look, we cannot resolve versions because this guy wants 1.2.3, this guy wants 1.2.4, and they're incompatible. Like these constraints cannot be both resolved at the same time. So supply chain, yes, thank you. Supply chain attacks. It cracks me. The terminology just cracks me up. But yeah, everybody is using these package manager to give them mystery mixes all the time, and then they are flabbergasted, running around the room, hair on fire. Oh my god, we're getting supply chain attack all the time. These JavaScript package got corrupted. Who would have known? And now everything is falling apart. And none of this would happen with minimum version selection. You could still make a mistake. You could still update your dependencies, not put enough care in, here's how it would work, right? Because here how it has to work with minimum version selection. And I'm going to start calling it MVS. With MVS, you, the developer of a package, have to sit down and update your dependencies, not audit them in any way, maybe not even run your tests. I don't know, maybe you do run your tests, but then you don't realize that there's something sus going on, and then you commit your change and you push. That's how you would have to do it. With the other method, it's just one user that ends up doing a npm install or a cargo install without specifying a log file. And then they get a new mystery mix. They get the latest and greatest in crypto miner, LLM miner, I don't know, whatever, ransomware that was added into the latest patch release of some dependency 15 levels down. So I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's 2026, time to move away. It's time to get on with times. Okay, let's look at our LSP. Did we fix everything finally, or no? It's still fucked up. There's no build options. God damn it. It's a step options. Okay. Are we happy now? Error union is ignored. Setup release step. Why can this error out? Capture std out with one argument. Oh, is it the file name? Oh, it's options. Okay. Okay. There we go. Okay, we are back into LSP business. So we now in all these loop just to add versions to correct version information to the language server. Delightful. Good job, me. But we did it. Okay, did open. Let's see if we handled it open in a way that makes sense. Read the document, language ID, then string to enum. So we're looking at if it's language. It's either a Ziggy or a Ziggy underscore schema. And we're doing it via language ID. Yes. Let's make this message a little bit helpful. Must be either Ziggy or Ziggy underscore schema. I wish I could use a uppercase. I wish I could use a dash in here, but we can't use that. So unfortunately, the file extension and language ID have to be different. I didn't come up with the system. Who did is evil, but can't do anything about it. And I think this has tripped up a bunch of people trying to make extensions who didn't understand that there's like this extra interaction level. But I don't know, that's just how it is. That said, I do think it's reasonable to separate the concept of file extension from file type, because sometimes file types have different file extensions, for example. So, okay, so we call logic.load file. So let's see. Ziggy schema, we do schema loading, put it in files, make a schema, put it in files. Ziggy. Okay, here with Ziggy, what we're doing here is, oh, we're calling schema for Ziggy. Sheesh. We are trying to find a schema for Ziggy. Right. Because if we can find a schema for Ziggy, then that's what we're going to use. What is the problem with this, though? The problem with this is that there are two cases. One where the schema for Ziggy is a file that the editor has opened in another tab that we have loaded because the user has started editing it. They can edit schema files. It's either that or that file was not opened at all in the editor, and we kind of fetch it on our own. The problem is that we're doing this in a very, how can I say, we're doing this in a crappy way, in a sense. Let me just put it that way. So we need to reconcile these two cases, and also we might move from one to the other dynamically. This is currently not supported at all, but we should. We should have support for it. Yeah, something to think about. Okay. Uh Let me take a look 1 second at other things, and then I will. Okay, just writing one message, then I'll be back. Okay, so how do we fix this schema for Ziggy stuff? So we need to have the concept of we have this schema somewhere, but it's kind of dead. Or we have this schema somewhere and it is also like kind of quote unquote alive. Huh. For example, do we have did close file? We do deal with did close file, right? Did open, did change. We do have did close, which pops from our hash map. So you know what? This might not be too bad. Okay, so this is not bad. This is not bad. Here's how I imagine it. I think that our handler needs to have files, and then like unopened schemas. I think that's how it should be. Unopened schemas. Yeah. Unopened schemas. This is also making me think that maybe we should split files per type. Instead of having files and then having a file abstraction, we have documents and schemas and unopened schemas. Oh, here's another question. Here's another question. What if a given schema gets like deleted or something, man? What do we do at that point? Hmm. Maybe the end solution is to also have like some form of file watching. I don't freaking know. That's a little bit too much. We can worry about that maybe in the future. Okay, so the idea is when we open a schema, it goes into the unopened schemas, and now here's the second thing that I want to do. I want to implement the schema name convention matching thing, which is not currently implemented here. So we want to implement that, which means that huh. Which means I think we should start by destroying this file thingy. We don't need that. I inherited that from Super HTML, but it's a bad idea in this context. This needs to be documents and schemas. I think they need to be separated. There are so many interactive things that the user can do. This is so annoying. I'm trying to see if I can position myself in a way to kind of maybe not implement everything now, but make it nicer for me going forward. But eh, eh. The biggest problem is the fact that these relationships can change. Like the existence of a Ziggy file with a Ziggy schema file with the same name as one, and like its non-existence and the creation of new dot files, it would kind of it is a good feature to have though. Fuck, it is a very good feature to have. It's really bad to not implement it. Because if you're somebody that's like using things, like you have files open, but then you create a new schema file at some point because you're actively shaping your schemas, you don't want to have to restart your fucking LSP every single time because the schema that applies to your documents some of your documents has changed because you just created it, and the LSP just does not update. It does not realize that there's a new matching. Huh. So we can give to every document. So instead of logic file, logic schema, let's say it's logic doc. Logic doc, logic schema. So we could give it to doc a field that somehow references a schema. Probably the best way of doing so would be by path name. Doing so would be by path name. But then every time a new schema for now gets opened in the editor. So let's not do crazy file watching, but for now it just gets opened in the editor. Then what we would need to do is just reevaluate every single doc against that schema, which I mean is not the greatest thing. So this is telling me that this needs to be a string hash map, string array hash map. So this is already one thing that we should be worried about. This. Then maybe schemas maybe should also be an array so that we can point to a specific entry. It's kind of a memory leak though. We never clean them up this way. That sucks. So we reference them by path. But if we do reference them by path, then we either never clean up the path, which I guess is not the worst memory leak that we could have, or we need to clean them up. Every time we delete a schema, we need to look at all the open documents and set that to null. Actually, no, we don't set that to null because we do not set that to null. We absolutely do not set those to null because they will still be needed. Right. So I think that that's how it has to be. logic schema and document. So we already had this thing. File is just a shitty abstraction over these. Yeah, it's just a shitty union, basically. Hmm. And so to a document, we say that a document has a schema path, which can be optional. What was before? Was a full-blown schema. Now we make it a schema path. Closing a document closes the schema. Maybe. Or rather, do we have like a reference counting system? That would help reclaim memory, wouldn't it? Yeah. Okay, so that means that in schema, we have source, AST, and refs. Starts at 0. Number of documents referencing the schema plus 1 if the schema is currently open. Make that a separate property, but I think it's fine. Slightly less type safe, but okay. So we go into LSP, we look at did open, grab the language, and then we call logic load file. And we should tell load file we need to say that it's did open versus I guess we can do true as a boolean. Call from a did open. Oh, you know what though? Having a separate property is probably a good idea. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. Okay. This is actually pretty good. So init. So open. So where the load file was called from did open. Actually, I think the load file can only be called from did open. Can it not? No, not necessarily. Okay. If it's a Zig schema, we make a schema. We from this is not files, this is schemas. Air defer. Hmm. Man, on error, the situation is bad. There is no air defer, my friend. If we have errors, we're going to hell. So, no point in doing that. So, if we found it existing, oh, we just do not give a fuck. We de-init it. Otherwise, we dupe the URI. Okay. Get or put. Language Ziggy schema. Okay, we recreate it, I guess. But this is not great because okay, let's assume that this only gets called. Well, let me think about it for a second. Yeah, this has to be okay. The other thing has to be a different function. Okay. So I would say that if we find existing, this is a panic. Or it's like the client that's pooping itself. So let's do it this way. If not found existing, we do not de-init the old one. Oh, the init only the init's the AST. So actually it does less leave the rest. Okay. You know what? No, okay, so this is fine. I think it should be like this. New schema. But if it did exist already, then we just want to assign source and AST. Like this, we assign them. We also need to make sure open is true, no matter which path we took. Okay. Then And we type diagnostic schema AST errors len. Then if there is any error, we print these, we send these errors at diagnostics. And this is it, we're happy. That almost works for me. We're missing updating the situation of documents. It's something like schemas did change, like, or like new schema, something like that. We need something along those lines. Okay, then Ziggy. Although it should be in just in case that there are no errors or something. Then Ziggy, let's see. If there's a Ziggy, we do schema for Ziggy. Which is not wrong. I think this is currently commented out or something. No, it works, just junk. Okay, so we grab a schema for Ziggy maybe. Make a new document. Herd the init. It's not gonna save us. So there's no point in doing that. Get or put. Function the init, yeah. Okay. This is not files, this is documents. Docs. Sign doc. This is also not entirely true. Because what we want to do to docs is a schema path, which we want to keep around. So if it doesn't exist, fine. If it does exist, okay. There's also maybe schema that we pass in the initiation. That is certainly a choice. Right, because it's previously was the instance, now we want that to be a path. But I wouldn't do it this way at this point. I would do it like this. Okay. Maybe schema. Validation errors. If maybe schema, else, blah, blah, blah. Oh, this is all junk. Yeah, this needs to be improved. We always need to do schema validation because there's always a default schema otherwise. Okay, this is the next thing that needs to be fixed. So with this, we need to schema for Ziggy. Well, basically, this all starts from this function, schema for Ziggy. What should this function do? So this should do this. 1. Search in stuff.schemas for a schema with the same name. for a schema with the same name. If this fails, if none is found, try to open it as a file. Try to open it and add it as a non-opened doc schema file. If not found, try again with a dot schema going upwards recursively. Well, going upwards in a loop until success. Oh, yeah, this is what needs to be implemented. Try to see if there's an open file with the same name. If there is, awesome. If there isn't, we add it closed. If that doesn't exist, we start searching for dot schemas, going upwards until we find one that either has already been opened or we add as a closed file. There we go. And that will be correct behavior. And I think this is cool. Okay, so here's what I think I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna call it a day. The plan is clear. I don't know. Maybe I'll work on it later tonight. Maybe I'm gonna leave this for tomorrow. But there's a clear plan going forward. Once this is implemented, I mean, I think we're gonna be pretty much ready to push. Maybe a little bit of testing, just so that we iron out maybe some obvious bugs. But the new version of Ziggy will be... Oh, no, I take it back. You know what we are forgetting? We're forgetting all the Zig libraries for parsing. All the parsers inside of that you're supposed to use from Zig. Those have not been updated yet. We need to do that. Okay, there is a tiny little bit of work that needs to be done. Also, I saw something fishy. I saw something fishy in three-seater. Like, look at this. Or never mind. Maybe there is nothing wrong with this. I think at some point I saw some syntax that I considered correct. I think I was something like this and I didn't realize that this was wrong. Yeah, but this is correct. Never mind. So I think we're good also with three-seater as well. So, oh, and this logic bug. Okay, so there's still some things that we need to do. I'm gonna write this down. Okay, so this is my list of to-dos. Redis client single threaded single thread mode. There are some improvements that we can make there. So this is one thing. Then publish Ziggy. This requires fix logic bug in schema validation. Quicks. This should help me remember. Then update type driven parser. Parser serializer. And then Oh, wait, there's space here. Oh, no. I feel kind of dumb. Well, LSP. This is actually at top of the list of priorities. Yeah, these are these three things. And then we should also have like some general cleanup. Okay, these are my to-dos for being able to publish Ziggy, and then there's something for Redis. These are my next to-dos. Okay, so I hope everybody had a good time, and I'll see you all next time. Let's see, anybody doing Zig on Twitch? Oh, well, nobody. So I'm gonna call it a day. Thank you all, and see you next time.